everyone. This is Brittnee Bond, and welcome back to the podcast. I haven't been on here in a hot minute because I've been traveling across the world. I've been hosting play parties. I've been launching new projects. I've been hanging out with my dog. I haven't seen my dog in like 8 months, and it's the longest I've ever been away from her in the 5 years that I've been her mama. And so I've been spending a lot of days, very slow, yummy days of naked in the water, hiking with Afro, my dog, and laying in my hammock reading books. Just a lot of slow days here since I've gotten back to Thailand, and my body has really needed it. And I noticed this desire to slow down, this like inner urge to just the best way I can describe it is like fold into the earth. Just like imagine the earth just like opening up and I'm just like folding into it in a beautiful way and not really wanting to be seen, except for working with my clients or launching my next play party. But what I've noticed, this is me being real and raw, is this conversation I've been having with myself and with a lot of my women, a lot of my female friends who are leading big things in the world, especially around sexuality and embodiment. And there is this very strong desire to hide, just straight up. Like, I don't want to be seen. To allow the masculine, the men in our life to create this protection for us. And it's interesting because when you listen to the rhetoric of the world today, it's all about women being fully in their power and going out and getting what they want. And it's like something that's been going through my mind recently. Ooh, this is a download that I had in the last couple of days was I have been going out and going and getting things done and traveling to this country and launching this community. And this is like when I look back on the 8 months that I've been away, I was 3 months in Berlin, 1 month in Egypt, and then 4 months in California this year. And then before that, I was here in Thailand, like running parties every 2 weeks. And, I feel like if you're going to launch communities and businesses in multiple countries, I feel like I have accomplished doing it in the most flowy, feminine way. And still, it's a lot in the 3D. It's a lot of energy that I'm emitting out into the world. And I think that there is a price to pay for that. And it's a beautiful thing. And I don't regret any of it. I'm so happy I did it. And at the same time, there's this deeper calling inside of my body that is like, oh, I just want to rest. I just want to be soft. I just want someone else to take the lead. I just want help and support. So I've been building out a team. I have been telling myself I don't have to do this alone anymore. I have been, hiring my friends, which it's been a dream of mine since I can remember, is to do amazing things that are making the world a better place and that I can grow, and also to do it with all my close friends, my soul family. And that's something that I've really accomplished this year. But the main thing I wanted to say was that the download I had was I have been in my masculine energy, and I'm like, wow, my masculine energy is really strong. And I was thinking, how much strong, if my masculine energy is this strong that I'm able to do so much in the 3D, how much stronger is my feminine energy? Because I was born in a feminine body and I choose to be in my feminine energy. And I was like, wow, I am so excited to be more and more leading in my feminine energy. And if you don't know what that means, that's okay. I have talked about this in many, many podcasts, but it's more of an energy. It's more of a receptive energy, a magnetic energy. It's a doing less and a being more. And I've been working with that and having the main goal be, how does this feel in my body right now? Like, yeah, I can make like 3 more podcasts this week, or I went to the gym like 3 or 4 times this week and it's the first time I've worked out in like months. And I was just so tired yesterday. I woke up and I was like, I pretty much just, I thought I was going to make a podcast, and then I ended up watching something called The Gilded Age, just like this like 1800 show. And it's a very girly show, and I loved it, and laying in my hammock, and then I just was crying, and I was like releasing all this stuff, and I pulled some tarot, and I was like asking tarot, why am I so sad today? And it was like, I got this download, like, you have just pretty much, exercise moves energy through our bodies, and if we haven't exercised in a while, there's a lot of stuck energy in our bodies. And also when you have the space and the ability and the safety to rest, your body realizes this, and it's like, ooh, we're going to catch up on all this emotional processing that you haven't had time to do in a couple months. So I just let it happen. I just gave myself that space. I cried. I hung out with Afro some more, hugged her. I took a nap. I did many beach walks. I live like very close to the main beach here now. And it's just nice because I can just like literally go outside my house, and 2 minutes down the road is the most beautiful beach in the world. And yeah, but it's so interesting because we have such programming. I'll speak for myself. I have such programming, especially growing up in California, of productivity, and that equals, you're doing something good in the world and your value. And I know this from a somatic level that is not true. And that I do believe that we're meant to do things that make us excited and bring us joy, but I don't think that is what makes us worthy of being, and that's something. The ironic thing is, by proving to myself the things I wanted to do in the 3D this year has given me the space to be able to come into that more in an embodied way of like, I don't have to prove anything to anyone. I don't have to do anything right now. I can just order takeaway and hang out with my dog, and it's great. And at the same time, when you have that abundance, you really get to see like, well, what do I want to do? And I still want to make a podcast. I still want to create all these beautiful things in the world. There's this feeling of, should I be more focused? Should I be more productive? And then there's this other feeling of like, fuck that. And like, what if we could do things in the world and create things where it doesn't have to be like a bullet point list, and it doesn't need to be super productive, and it can just feel good all the way through. So that is the only way. That was my compromise in making this podcast, was that I do not have to have it be organized. So if you want that, you probably need to go listen to another podcast. But I do have some funny stories for you, and that's something I want to share now. So I don't know if they're funny, but like there's a lot of stories I have to share, and I want to put this in here for posterity's sake. So I finished launching the second play party in California. I did a couple at Burning Man, but I call these like my official ones because they are me building the community in the Bay Area and San Francisco area. And I mean, I don't know if you guys realize this, but like I was very loud about it this year that I'm going to LA, and I even like went to LA a month before Burning Man and was like, I'm going to launch the play parties here. And it was like crickets when it came to the community. I think synchronistically I just didn't meet the right people, and I didn't find the community that I wanted to serve yet. I think because I want to do that this next year. But I still was determined. I was like, okay, I feel called to go to LA. I want to go there and do stuff. And then after Burning Man, I had one of my good friends, Sasha, lives in San Francisco. And he was like, come stay with me. I want to hang out with you. I want to show you my house. I've been wanting to show you for a couple of years. Because he always comes and stays with me in my villa out here in Thailand. Or comes and hangs out with me out here. And so I was like, yeah, I'll come stay. I was just supposed to be there for a week. I ended up staying for almost a month, And when I got there, he was like, you should do your play parties here, and you should do them in this specific villa, because this is a beautiful villa, and I just feel like it's set up in the way that you want, because he's been to my parties. So I explored the idea of doing them there, and I ended up, through universal synchronicity, hosting 2 play parties there. And each of them had about 150 people, and such an amazing community. All of you, if you're in this community, I'm in the Bay Area, I am so grateful to be part of it. And thank you for welcoming me so graciously into your fold. And I'm very grateful to be able to serve and show up and create even more community and beautiful yumminess. So this story is what happened at the second play party, because I don't know if you paying attention, but I kind of went offline for a while after the second play party, and it was because it was pretty traumatic in a way. Like, it on the surface went very well, but we had someone, so we do the games, and then it goes into, we have connection games in the beginning. I do an intro and then connection games, and then it goes into basically a house party for the vanilla play party. So I'm talking about. And it's probably like 10:30 at this point in the night, and it's like the first time where I can just sit down and eat something or just take a break for even 5 minutes, because we had a team of like 25-30 people, and there was so many things happening on many different levels I don't need to go into, but just like handling a lot of logistical things, emotional things, team things. And I was like, okay, yay, I get to go sit down for 5 minutes. And then someone comes up to me and they're like, Brittnee, we need you to come down into the downstairs, the den room, like the movie room. And I'm like, why? And they're like, someone just had a seizure. And I was like, what? Because I've never had that happen before. And I just kind of froze. So they were like, no, you need to come down. So I went down there and I was like, yep, okay. And I just like went into like autopilot mode. And then I went down there, and this guy is like on his back and he's like seizing. And someone's like, you need to call 911 right now, like the ambulance. So I was like, okay, yep, calling the ambulance. And I'm like, so I called 911 and they're like, what's going on? I'm like, someone just had a seizure. I'm at a party. I'm hosting a party. Here's the address. So they came. And then what was interesting was the people who were around the man who had the seizure, he, I'll just call him Josh. They were surrounding Josh. They weren't part of the vanilla, like our actual organized team. They were just participants, like people who came to the party. They paid to come to the party, and they were like, we don't care. We're just trying to help this person. To me, that showed the real community that we're building here, because everyone just really cared. Everyone was trying to show up. The rest of the people cleared the room that were not part of helping. And also, I was just kind of in this like panic freeze mode, because I didn't really know what to do. Like, the parties are sober, right? There's no drugs or alcohol. So I knew that that's not what would happen. I mean, we checked his bag. Also, we were like, okay, maybe he snuck some drugs. Like, I don't know. And they were like, no. And then someone else was like, I'm an ER nurse. So that guy ended up taking over and like doing vital checks on him. When the ambulance medic, the person was like asking all these medical questions, I handed the phone to the ER guy, and he like did all these checks on him. And then we had what was interesting was the mansion that we hosted it in, the villa, the mansion, I call it actually, I think it was a mansion. It has like 7 floors or something, like all the way down, and we were probably on the 5th floor of the house. And so we had the medical team, the ER team, like come around the side of the house so that they didn't have to walk through the whole party, because I didn't know what they were going to see. And also, I didn't want to freak everyone else out, because there's a lot of people who didn't know that this was even happening, because it was in just one of the rooms. So they came in, and at this point, Josh, the guy who had the seizure, he started to come back around. He started opening his eyes. He wasn't very vocal at this point, but they kind of sat with him. They did a bunch of checks. And we were able to get him to tell us that he hadn't taken any drugs or anything. So it was a medical seizure. He hadn't ever had one before in his life. So it's like, of all of the places. And also, I'm just happy. What I said was, I'm just happy that this happened when there's community around, because I have a friend who, her little sister, the first time, she had never had seizures either, and then like she was in her 20s and suddenly had a seizure in the kitchen and like hit her head on the side of the kitchen counter and like hurt herself really badly. So I'm really happy that there was a bunch of us there. He was okay, like he didn't hurt himself or in any way, but they were like, we still need to take him to the ER and to the hospital and like do a bunch of checks on him. So at this point he was able to stand up, and we walked him. There's an elevator in the house, so we walked him to the elevator, and outside, and then like he didn't have his shoes or his jacket, so I'm like telling the ER nurse, like, can you guys wait, I want to try and find him his shoes and jacket. And they were like, we don't care, we need to take him to the hospital because we don't know if there's anything else that's wrong with him, like this is an emergency, like he can get his stuff later. He also couldn't find his phone. Had the whole team like searching for his phone. We couldn't find his phone. And then I was freaking out because I have dealt with a lot of hospital situations in my life, and I just know I've been on both sides. Like I've been in the hospital in the ER, and also like had many friends and family have to be in the ER. And I just know that it's really important to have someone to go with you to advocate for you. And also, if you're coming out of a seizure, you're not going to be fully with it. You're not going to understand what's going on, and that can be traumatic in itself. Is just suddenly come into awareness, and you're in a hospital setting where people are being very serious, and the lights and like the sounds, everything. It can be really hard on your nervous system. So I was saying that to my team because I'm like, I can't leave. You know, if I was just a participant, I would have happily gone with him to the hospital, but I couldn't leave. And so I was saying this to some of the men around me that were just kind of holding space for me, because I was like doing my best to stay calm, but I was on the verge of freaking out. And one of my friends, Joel, he was like, I can go with him to the hospital. And he didn't even know Josh, who had the seizure. And he was just like, yep, I'm happy to go with him. And like, you know, I'll just message you and let you know what's going on. And I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. And so he got into the ambulance with him. At first they were like, drive behind him. Or like, at first they didn't want us to let Joel go with him in the ambulance, but I convinced him to let him go with him. And Joel was telling me later, well, first off, Josh was totally fine. They found his phone. They got all his stuff back to him. We've been checking on him since. Like he's super okay. And he was like blown away that all of us were, he was like, I'm so sorry that I like messed up the party. I'm like, no, it's not that. Like, we're just happy we're here to show up for you. Like, this is what community is for, you know? And it's not about a party. It's about showing up for each other. And if this is the way that we could show up for him, then I'm happy that we were able to be there for him. And I'm just happy that he's okay, you know? And he was also like really happy that Joel was there in the hospital with him, because he was saying like, I didn't really remember stuff, even though I was talking when I first came around in the house. He's like, I don't even remember talking. I don't remember how I got to the hospital. So he kind of came into full consciousness like after he got to the hospital. And so he was like really happy Joel was there to kind of remind him of what was going on and to talk to the doctors for him. And he, and also like, because he couldn't find his phone at first, like, you know, he was, I don't know how he would have even gotten home, like all these things, right? So just really happy that he had the support that he needed. And then Joel was messaging me the whole time, like throughout the rest of the night, like giving me updates on how Josh was doing, and also was telling me that the ambulance drivers were like asking, what's the play party about? Because I was telling them like, it's a sober party, you know, like everything's, and they saw a little bit of the party when they were coming through the front or out the front door. Like after they got out of the elevator, they were walking out the front door, and there was like, you could see down into the main living room, and there was a lot of juicy things happening there. And Joel was like saying that when they got into the ambulance, they were, after they realized Josh was okay, they were like, so what's that party about? I just thought that was funny. I mean, they were pretty cute. I would have invited them on their day off. But anyways, that was, I have a hair. I'm laughing now, but it was a very traumatic, potentially traumatic. I want to say I don't want to say traumatic because I feel like I've moved the energy through, but it was potentially very traumatic if I hadn't like just taken the time to rest, because basically it was that happened, that play party happened, and then it was Thanksgiving week, and I haven't been in the States in a very long time. I haven't been in the States in 10 years. When Thanksgiving was happening, and even before that, I was in a religion where we didn't celebrate Thanksgiving. So I had a whole week of Thanksgiving gatherings, and then I left and came to Thailand, and I've been hanging out with my soul family and Afro and everything. So it's just been like bam, 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 lots of things. Something that happened recently also I wanted to share about was like so this is an example of like what happens to me all the time. So I got into an Uber recently, and the guy starts talking to me about like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, oh, I host these play parties, these vanilla play parties. And he's like, oh, what are they for? I'm like, well, it's supposed to, the goal is to heal whatever you have around your sexuality in order for you to be fully in your power, and just to be more embodied and to speak up for your needs and your desires. And then he goes, so I've literally been in the car for maybe 3 minutes at this point. And he goes into this whole story about his wife and her sexual trauma that she's had before they were married, and how, and I can tell, the reason also why I was okay with this was like, I could tell he really cared about his wife, and like, he's just a normal guy who was just trying to figure out what to do, and he needed some help. And so he's like, yeah, I really want to support her. And I was like encouraging her to get some therapy, but like, how can I show up for her as a man and like her husband? Cause I want to make her feel safe. And sometimes she just doesn't want to talk about stuff, and I don't know how to like help her, and she doesn't want to get therapy. And so I shared with him, like, yeah, I've had sexual trauma myself. Like, I even made a podcast about it. Like, I'm like very open about it. This is how I worked through it. And I was like trying to give him some tips on like how to be there for her. And I was just telling him, I'm like, you know what? I think the best thing I can say to you is like, for me, it took me having professional help. It took me having sisterhood, which is really important. I think a lot of women have never had like real sisterhood where they have women that are listening to them and showing up for them, and just been like, yeah, I've been there. This like witnessing each other's stories, but in a way where you can also say like, I've been there. Because it's one thing for a therapist to be like, yeah, that makes sense, and I hear you and I understand, that's important. But to have another woman be like, oh yeah, girl, I have been there. I had gone through almost the exact same thing, and I came out the other side stronger and softer, and here's how I was able to do it. And also like, I'm here with you, and it's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to feel all these things, you know. That like witnessing and having that shared story and those mirrors is so important. And also as a man in that situation, like holding space for the woman that you love, I recommended to him, I was like, just listen. Just be there for her, hold that container, give her a hug if she is open to it. But I also encouraged him to have a lot of non-sexual touch with her, because when someone has gone through sexual trauma, what happens in their body somatically, like the sensations in the nervous system, signals in their body, is that whenever they get any sort of touch from someone that they have sexual relations with, that is only what the other person wants. So say in the situation, I said to him, I was like, say like you guys are cuddling, you can say to her, I don't want to have sex right now. I just want to have caring touch, sensual touch, and build this kind of trust with the body again, that every single time I'm being touched does not mean someone wants something from me sexually. And he was like, whoa. And our Uber ride probably lasted like 8 minutes, and I just gave him like, this is the best coaching session ever. And he was just like, what's your podcast? I need to listen to it. I gotta write this down. Maybe my wife and I come to one of your play parties. I was just like, okay. But this is also why sometimes I just hide in my house, because I think I have this energy about me that people are like just telling me like very deep things. Like even like coming here to the island, my normal taxi guy, I love him so much. He's helped me move so many times on this island over the years. Like, oh my God, over the last 6 years. And I get in the car, I'm like, how are you doing? How's your baby? He's Thai, right? And I'm like, how's your baby doing? How's your wife? And he's just like, I might split up with my wife. She's partying too much. Like, you know, we have a 8-month-old baby, and she just she just comes home at 3 a.m. from partying, and I'm just like, oh my god. Like I have had like no sleep, and all I want to do is get to my house. And I'm also so grateful that people feel comfortable to open up to me. And something I've realized too is that, like, specifically, I think I've always leaned in more towards women, but like there is a lot of men opening up to me in my reality right now, where they're just really trying to get that support. Like, how do I show up to be the man that the women in my life need? And how do I create these like safe containers for them to feel comfortable and feel protected and loved and nourished in the way that they really want? But yeah, to speak to the thing I was telling the Uber driver was like, it took me having real sisterhood. And this is why I launched a sisterhood community in San Francisco area. And I love it because we hosted our first event right before I left. And then I handed it over to my friend Stacy, who I was co-creating the community with in San Francisco. And she is doing the second event in the beginning of January. And that just makes me so happy because it's like keeps going while I'm away. And then we're just going to keep building it, Like, we need this real, raw sisterhood where we actually have each other's back. Oh, I just want to share this other random story with you. This is just my life. So, like, that Uber story I told you about, right? Like, I'm going to get my eyelashes done. Like, he was taking me from my house in San Francisco to get my eyelashes done. And I go to this place, and it's like it's like this Vietnamese people, and they're amazing. They're super nice. I've never met them before, right? So just that's part of the story. And I have this energy about me where like Asian mamas are like they like feel like I'm their child, like, immediately. And I think maybe that's from me living in Asia for so long, and it's just like really honoring, like, here in Thailand, like my Thai mamas. Like, I love them so much, and I'm so grateful for them, and they show up for me, and I show up for them exactly how a mom and daughter would for each other. And so this lady, she does my eyelashes, and we're like talking, and I'm telling her I live in Thailand, and she's like, wow, that's so amazing. I'm like, yeah, I've been to Vietnam a couple times. I really like it there. And then after the eyelash session, it's like maybe 6 o'clock at this point, and my phone recently has started to do a thing where it's like dying a lot, like the battery's dying on it. And so I was like, hey, can I charge my phone? Like, I just need to be able to order an Uber. And then she looks at me and she's like, where you need to go? And I'm like, I don't know. It's like 5 minutes, maybe 8 minutes away. And she was like, you wait here. I go get my car. I take you home. And I was like, what? And she's like, no, it's okay. I'm like, no, you don't have to take me home. I can get an Uber. And she's like, no, it's okay. I want to take you home. And then the guy who was like working in the shop, like her friend, he's like, you listen to her. Let her take you home. And I was like, okay. So I just stand there and like wait for her to like pull the car around. Then she pulls the car around, and it's like this cute like minivan. And then I get in, and she's like, here's some snacks. Here's a juice box. And I'm just like, what is happening? And I was just like, okay. And then I'm just like eating some crackers and like drinking apple juice out of this juice box. And then she's telling me like, I have a daughter, I think it's your age, but she's fat. I was like, okay. She's like, I love her very much, but she's not as nice as you are. And I'm like, what do you mean she's not as nice? And she's like, I don't know. America made her not nice. I was like, okay, well, I mostly live in Asia, so I'm still pretty nice. And this whole time I'm just like, what is happening in the world? Like, just going to and from, like getting my eyelashes done. There's all these adventures. And this is just like one story that happened recently. So anyways, we chat, and then she drops me off, and she like gives me a hug, and then she's like, here's my number, call me if you ever need me, like, come back and hang out with me. And I was like, okay, thank you. And I just like these stories are like what make me feel so happy. I'm like giggling because it feels like, when if you know Burning Man, they talk about how like if you go to Burning Man, you have to open yourself up to like the most beautiful synchronicities and like magic and like just randomness that is the possibility of life when you're completely in the flow. And this is literally my life all the time. I don't really share about it that much because, like, I don't know. I just like accepted this is normal. And my friends are like, Brittnee, you're like the queen of side quests. Like, you just think you're going out for one thing and then you suddenly you're in someone's car and you're going over here and they're inviting you over for dinner and they're introducing you to their grandchildren. And I'm like, yeah, but this is just normal for me. And I'm sharing this story with you to let you know that like life really can be this magical. Like we can just receive and let, I go out in the world and I just kind of have this energy that I carry with me I believe this. I really believe that the universe has my back. I'm laughing, but I'm just like giggling still from the story. But I really believe that the universe has our back. And I really believe that the highest timeline is possible for each of us. And hopefully it includes random side quests with Vietnamese mamas that feed you and drive you around. If that happens to you, you know you're on track. But really, like when I'm out, I'm just like, oh my gosh, thank you so much, and this and that, and like, just like, I just kind of expect that everything's gonna work out, and even when something doesn't seem like it should work out, I just stay positive. I just stay positive and keep flowing. And then somehow it ends up working out, And to me, that is me living my highest timeline and just allowing the magic and the synchronicity and all of it to flow through. I mean, I came back to the islands and I went to the fruit stand that I always go to in Shreveport, in this main area that I live in. And babe, you guys, do you remember the story that happened to me in January? I literally was driving from the beach with Afro home at 10 a.m. in the morning. Just had this beautiful meditation, swim on the beach. I was driving home and I looked down and there was cash on the ground. That's what it looked like. And I pull over and I'm like, what is this? And there's $1,000 on the ground. Like, it was 10 $100 bills, which is also not even the currency we use here in this country. And I just like stood there, I like picked it up in complete shock. And I looked around. I'm like, is this anyone's money? And there's like no one around. And this guy just comes out of the fruit market. I'm like, is this your money? And he's like, no. But like, what are you going to do with that? And I'm like, well, I'm going to post it in my community. So I posted on the Facebook community chat for the islands and no one claimed it. And I just was like, again, the magical. So I was thinking of that when I went to the fruit stand the other day. I'm like looking on the ground. I'm like, is there any money for me today? Because you never know. And this one thing one of my spiritual teachers told me one time is like, whenever you see money on the ground, no matter how small it is, you must always pick it up. Because this is the universe offering you something. And if you say no to it, then it will, like, so for instance, say it's like a quarter or something, right? Or like a €1 and a coin, one coin. But if you don't pick it up, the universe won't give you something even bigger. That's the methodology, the theory behind it, is that you would just need to continuously be in a receptive and grateful state that the universe is going to just give you so many beautiful random things and so many magical things. Okay, I think I need to go to puppy yoga soon. I need to check the time. The time is on my phone, which is filming. This is where I'm at. My friend is hosting something called puppy yoga because she's fostering, my friend Alaska, she's been on a couple of my podcasts, she's amazing. She's been fostering 3 little puppies. She already has her dog Sita, and so they're doing puppy yoga where they are going to do yoga and have the puppies run around and walk all over you, and hopefully someone will adopt them. I can't adopt anymore. I'm just already trying to getting Afro ready to come to America with me. One last thing I want to say here is that I'm hosting my next play party. I don't know why I'm in such a giggly mood right now. I'm hosting my next play party January 10th. So a friend has a beautiful villa that him and his wife made, and It's right on the beach, and we can probably host about 60 souls there. It's not 150 like we are in the States, but you know, we're gonna get very juicy, and we're gonna have a lot of fun. So be on the lookout for that soon. I'll probably launch it on my Instagram. And you can also message me on Instagram at Brittnee Bond if you want more details. And I just hope you have a very magical, random, synchronistic day and that you giggle a lot. This is what I'm manifesting for you. And I will this to me at the end of this podcast proved to me why I make these, because even if it's just to record all the randomness that is my life, I'm here for it. Okay, I'm sending you guys all so much love, and I'll see you in the next one.